On live, and we should be live now.
Woohoo!
Yay!
It's alive again,
Oh
maybe
my
sort
god,
of.
man. We seriously need to come up with a better system than this. This is horrible, man. Oh my
It's
god.
okay. It's got its quirks. So,
Oh, we got
how's
someone
your
in there
week
waiting.
been?
My weekend was much better than last weekend because I was sick as a dog.
Very true. So,
Yeah, I mean, I worked most of it, but yeah. And then, well, then you and me went and saw Us yesterday.
yep.
So that was pretty much. I didn't do much of anything over the weekend, but I worked on getting some stuff together, and like I've got a review for Mike S. Miller's Lone Star book that I got to do. I was just gonna do it on here, but I'm about 2/3 of the way through actually doing an official video on it, so I'm just gonna do that. But we got more than enough crap to talk about today. To everybody to the whole one person who's actually watching this right now. Holly said she's going to stop in here later on too, and then I got a couple other people that said they were going to tweet it out for us. So hopefully we'll have some more people in there today. But to the person to Otnet 2094 and anybody else that shows up, thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate it.
Hello. Yes, it's good to be listened to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to talk like there's people there when there's nobody there, because in the back of your head you're like what am I doing?
I just talk like I'm talking to you. So
well, yeah, I mean, it's
I can actually see a chat box this week.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll work.
Yeah, hopefully, because last week it was a mess.
Sorry, we didn't know you were there.
Yeah, but yeah. So a couple of I got some news things to go over. A couple of interesting things happened, and then you and me we're gonna talk about Us and our.
Although you still haven't seen Shazam yet, have you?
No, I'm probably going to see it tomorrow.
Okay, and we'll talk about it next week.
I'll probably do a little instant review of that, and then we'll talk about it next week a little more in depth. But we're gonna talk about our 5 favorite comics of all time. That's something we were talking about doing last week.
Yep.
We're also going to talk about our upcoming Thursday game of Mutants and Masterminds.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do a review of Us, which yeah, I wasn't a fan. It's really disappointing because I actually did like.
I liked it a little better than Rob did, but it just,
you know what? It wasn't. Let me preface this by saying it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It was actually better. It was actually pretty good the first probably 30 minutes of it. It's once they get out of the house, it just kind of falls apart.
Well, my only thing was I mean, I don't know how many spoilers we want to do, if any, but there are plot holes in that you can drive a truck through.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot holes in it. We'll talk about that later, but I'm going to go over some news things first. A couple big things happened. A couple weeks ago, I went to Cleveland Comic-Con, and one of the more interesting things that happened there was the Smallville panel. It was the majority of the cast of Smallville were there, with the obvious notable exception of Allison Mack. So for anybody who has not been keeping up with things, Allison Mack is obviously she played Chloe on Smallville. And she was one of the people who was brought up on charges with and I'm going to butcher the name of this thing, but honestly, I don't care because they suck. The NXIVM sex cult. Yeah, she got. Are you aware? Are you aware of that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. What happened was she got involved in it. They presented themselves under the guise of being like a self-help organization.
Yeah.
Kind of like a self-actualization kind of thing. Turns out it was just a big scam, and they were basically forcing women into pretty much slavery and sex trafficking. And she was brought up on a buttload of charges, and including, like I said, sex trafficking, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking and forced labor, as well as multiple counts of racketeering. Wow. So this week, she actually pleaded guilty to the charges of racketeering, obviously in conjunction with this whole sex cult thing. And I don't, like I said, I looked into it. I didn't want to look into too much because it was friggin' disgusting.
Yeah.
But basically, what she did is her part was she would lure people in with using her celebrity. Obviously, she would lure people in, get them to join up with this thing. Basically, she would feed them to their leader, which is a guy named Kenneth Rainier. And he's the one that they would have to have sex with. And basically, it's just all kinds of messed up stuff. But she copped to it today. Well, not today. She copped to it a couple of days ago. And I'm not sure exactly how many counts. I know there's multiple counts of racketeering. And each one can carry up to 20 years. The thing is that's the lesser of all of the she's going to be charged with those other things, or that maybe she did some kind of. It's pretty crazy stuff, and I don't know, man. It's crazy stuff.
Yep.
And that's all Tom's going to say. But
yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's all I got on that.
I'm trying to put the interesting subjects out here, and Tom's just like, yep.
Well, I mean, that's kind of. I mean, what am I going to say about that? It's
pretty messed up. But yeah, I'm into true crime and stuff like that. But this kind of thing, I'm just like, I don't have much of a stomach for it. But it's just the whole thing that, like I said, the fact that they had that Smallville panel kind of put it into my head, and then that popped up. I was like, oh, geez. But moving on to something a little more,
tasteful,
palatable. Yeah. Avengers Endgame, the pre-sale tickets went on sale last week for Avengers Endgame, which comes out in 2 weeks, I think it is.
Yeah,
it's like 2 weeks, and it broke the pre-sale ticket record held by Star Wars: The Force Awakens in less than 6 hours. Like they're predicting this thing could have upwards of a $400 million opening day just in the U.S., between $300 and $400 million just in the U.S. So anybody who's wondering why Captain Marvel made $1 billion, yeah, that's why. Because they sandwiched it between two of the biggest movies of all time. And yeah, this thing's gonna be crazy, man. But it's, because Star Wars: Force Awakens, when that movie first got announced, people were going crazy about it. That just tells you how big the MCU's gotten. Tom's gonna say, "Yep."
Maybe. No, it's gotten huge. It's really it's kind of its own separate machine now. I mean, it's
well, and then there was they were talking. Kevin Feige was actually talking how they've actually got the next 4 years planned out.
Oh, good.
For the franchise, and actually that they had it planned out ahead of time before the Fox deal went through. So there's a lot of people that are speculating that it might be 4-5 years before we ever see the X-Men involved in this. But I have to believe that they left some kind of open there.
Yeah, it's not like they knew that wasn't coming, or at least wasn't a possibility. So they probably left, like you said, left an opening so that they can.
Definitely, probably going to be some Fantastic Four stuff, because that's so many properties left open. That's open to them now.
Oh, yeah, they tried twice, and that's.
You know what? I didn't even recognize the fact that Nat 2094 is Holly. Because I all my stuff is recorded in my phone, and so I don't like memorize anything anymore, dude. I couldn't tell you anybody's phone number. So that's actually Holly. Thank you for showing up, ma'am. But yeah, I had other people that I contacted, and they said that they would stop in if they could, which basically means they'll get around to it.
Yeah, we'll see.
But and another piece of news you'll be interested in is it regards the Mouse Guard movie.
Ooh, yes. Continue.
Yes. So they've actually started announcing the cast members. And it's a couple of really big name people in this. Idris Elba is actually going to play Selwyn. Solana, is that, did I pronounce that right?
I have no idea.
Okay. But Andy Serkis is playing Midnight.
Cool.
And then there's a comedian named Jack Whitehall. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's playing a character named Kenzie.
Okay.
Some other actors who have been connected to the movie who are playing characters they just haven't announced who they are yet. There's a guy named Thomas Brody Sanger. If you've watched Game of Thrones, he played a character in that. He was also played a character in that movie Maze Runner.
Seen Game of Thrones, but haven't seen Maze Runner. So
Sonoya Mizuno, she was in the movie Crazy Rich Asians that I didn't watch. But she's playing a character in that, and there's a guy named Samson Kayo. He's I've never heard of him either, but the Thomas Brody Sanger guy, I've heard of him. He's not bad. He's probably going to be playing one of the mice, I'm sure. But it's directed by Wes Ball, the guy who obviously all these Maze Runner people in here. He's the guy that directed all 3 of those movies. But more interesting than that is it's actually being, obviously we knew David Peterson was going to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually writing the script. He's co-writing it with a guy named Gary Whitta, who also wrote, I don't know if you saw this movie, The Book of Eli.
I have not seen that. That's what I want to see though. Yeah, I've heard really good things about it.
Yes, I'm a dumbass. Thank you, Holly. Holly told me I'm a dumbass because I couldn't remember. I don't remember shit. But
I can see before I said you have the chat group window. Mine is still showing nothing. So, but
you know what it is I was talking to someone else. That chat's for like us, like in the
like in case we don't want anybody to know, like shut the hell up, Rob.
Right.
Shut the hell up, Rob.
Well, or just I wanted to drop a link to you so you could check something out.
Okay.
It's not actually connected to the YouTube, but he also wrote Star Wars Rogue One.
Oh.
So this dude's actually pretty good. But then I also looked at some of his other credits, and he also wrote that Will Smith movie After Earth.
Did not see that.
Which is not so the first 2 were like, oh, this is actually good, and then that one's like, oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you ever go on Twitch, Dave Peterson streams on there, and he talks about this stuff every once in a while. But yeah, I was like, holy crap, man! Idris Elba, Andy Serkis. That's
some good names. Yeah,
I'm sold, man. But so then another piece of interesting news that happened. I don't know if did you see the Joker trailer?
I saw it yesterday, and yeah.
You think?
I'm not thinking too much of it so far after seeing that trailer. I'm like,
I think it's going to be an interesting look into a person who kind of like self-destructs, but I don't think it's going to be a good Joker film. Like, because the thing about the Joker, part of what makes the Joker cool is there's a mystery to him. Like, you don't know entirely what's going on.
Yeah. And it looks like they're really trying to make him look really
sympathetic
and tragic, and
I don't like that, because that's one of the cool things about Heath Ledger's performance of the Joker in The Dark Knight was how he keeps changing the story. Like, keeps asking people, "Do you want to know how I got these scars?"
Yeah, and then he feeds them a story that fits them.
Yeah, and that's actually indicative of the Joker, because his origin doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Where he comes from doesn't matter. It's just that, what he is, what he is.
He is what he is, and he's going.
You lost your train of thought there?
Well, I just want to say, he's going forward. He's not.
Yeah.
He's certainly not dwelling on his past, and he pretty much, I don't want to say nobody cares, but it's just
But yeah, I bring it up because the Joker trailer came out, and some people have been making social commentary about it, saying that they don't like it because they say the movie promotes toxic masculinity. Okay. It's which
and if you have a problem with that, isn't he a bad guy anyway?
yeah, well, my response to that is what doesn't according to these people these days. So it's another one of those things where it's like it's also like the same people that are getting upset because Brie Larson's wearing makeup in the Endgame trailer. And they're like, she's the one who she actually put out a tweet and said that she the one who put the makeup on herself. She, so it's
Yeah.
just more friggin' outrage culture. It's just I'm like you're upset because the Joker is showing bad traits.
He's
the
freaking Joker.
He's the freaking Joker. He's evil. He's literally chaos incarnate. So I don't know, man. Just stupid crap.
That's the other thing about and that's another thing about the Joker background story is
for the Joker.
Yeah, for the Joker. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, there are at least 3 or more potential ones that you could use. So somebody out there is going to be disappointed right from the get-go because they're not going to be using their favorite Joker background story.
Well, yeah, and that's actually that actually kind of goes into there's a storyline that's running through DC right now where there's actually supposedly 3 different Jokers somehow. There was a storyline where Batman there's this group of people known as the New Gods in DC, and one of them is this guy named Metron, and he's the god of all knowledge. And Batman actually steals his chair, the special chair that he has that gives him access to all this knowledge. And he literally asks the chair, because this is one of the mysteries of his life, is who is the Joker? And the chair doesn't tell him who the Joker is. The chair tells him there's 3 of them, and he's like, how the hell is that possible?
The chair should have just been like, can you be more specific? Really thrown him for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's what I said. Holly, is if you want to find something to be pissed about, you're going to find it, whether it exists or not. As far as the whole Joker toxic masculinity thing, it's just stupid. But yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer. I didn't get any of that crap. Hey, Tom, your friend's in here, Jason Tershak.
Yeah. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason. Welcome. Thanks for being here. But yeah, I just saw that, and I'm just like, really? It's a trailer. We haven't even seen the movie yet, and you're already starting your crap. So,
some people need other hobbies.
Oh, dude, I'm so sick of this crap. I don't look. I don't care if you're on the extreme right or the extreme left. Piss off. I'm tired of this crap. All right,
Rob, we're trying to get listeners.
Whatever, man.
Don't tell everyone to piss off.
Well, I'm not telling everybody to piss off. I'm telling those people to piss off.
This is the internet, Rob.
Yes,
it is. It is those people.
That's actually something about Batman that I have an argument with people about, and they talk about Batman is a damaged human being. He's like they did that storyline with Batman. It was where he got locked up in Arkham, and Jason Arkham, the guy who runs the place, was actually trying to psychoanalyze Batman. So he's a severely traumatized person. He just found a way to channel it into something incredibly positive.
Yeah,
but make no mistake, he's a damaged human being. So there's an element, and that's one of the things. If you look at all of his villains, there's an element of him in all of them. Whether it be his intelligence, whether it be like with the Joker, his damaged psyche. But it's You know, that's something a lot of people don't understand. That's one of the reasons why he is what he is. So when they talk about, and that's the thing I've never understood about when they're talking about villains is like, okay, a villain isn't going to be a good person. They're bad guys. You're getting mad because bad guys are being bad guys.
Now, some of them do have tragic backstories, and you can be sympathetic with, but then there are others that are just no. Yeah, they're not broken. This is the way they are. This is who they are. This is what they want to be, and
that's actually one of the things that's interesting about the Joker is one of the guys who actually was instrumental in creating the more modern version of him. The way that they depict is that the Joker is not necessarily insane, and they said he is, but he suffers from a form of hypersanity. If that makes any sense. Basically, he's so sane, he's insane. He has such a clarity of what's going on in the world and in the universe that he can't function like a normal person.
So he's basically like Thanos.
Kind of.
Well, Thanos in the MCU.
Yeah, well, and that's why they call Thanos the Mad Titan. He has this insane clarity of like the ridiculousness and the.
Well, once again, this is in the movie version, not the comic book version.
Yeah, well, and Thanos, they call him the Mad Titan in both of them, but still.
Well, yeah, but yeah, for different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons, but yeah, I don't know, whatever, and it's just like that argument that people have where they're upset that you show superheroes and they look like paragons. You know, they're all super physically fit. And it's like they're fighting crime. You know, a person who looks like me isn't going to be a very good superhero. You know, I'm gonna run 50 feet and I gotta stop for breath.
Hey, you could be a good Xavier.
No, man. Throw it out, man.
Was that?
Jason was asking if it's okay to throw out topics for discussion. Feel free, man.
Oh. Yeah, I can't see it, but Rob will let me know.
Yeah, I'll read it off. I'm actually sitting in the chat so I can check this out because I still haven't figured out how to get that to scroll on the actual screen. There's a way to do it, but nobody will help me figure it out.
Yeah.
And I've got tech degrees and I still can't figure it out. So, but that's the thing nowadays. So many movies and TV shows have turned bad guys into heroes or anti-heroes. So now people don't expect their villains to be that bad. See, that's the problem, man. And when you do get a villain like the Joker who really is that bad, like
people are like, but where's this sweet squishy part?
Yeah, the Joker is irredeemable. Like he's done, and that's one of the reasons why I had a serious problem when they did that whole storyline about 5 or 6 years ago, where they had Dr. Octopus replace Peter Parker. I'm like, do you know what kind of crap that guy's done? The dude, okay, just a few months before this, he literally tried to commit genocide. And you're gonna try and turn that dude into a hero? Are you kidding me? No, some villains, like you said, some of them have tragic backstories, like Magneto. Magneto has a very tragic backstory, but some of them are just freaking irredeemable, man. Some of them are just evil people, and they're
just jerks.
Yeah, they just suck. But yeah, I saw that and I was just like, oh my god, dude. Whatever, man. Go live in your little bubble and let the rest of us enjoy our crap. But okay, moving on from that. And it sucks because I wish, man, we got to figure out a way to get Chris to come back on here, man. I need someone to talk stuff with, because there was an interesting story that came out of the last WrestleMania. So WrestleMania 35 happened over the weekend. It took place at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, and it saw all the major titles changing hands. But more importantly, this freaking thing was 7 hours long. 7 freaking hours long. And the fans were not happy. They were not happy. This is how long this thing was. by the time the final match, but by the way, was actually kind of historic because it was the first time the women's division actually headlined the show. The crowd was so out of it, half of them actually left and went home because they had to leave
7 hours.
They're telling people like, get ready, man, because Avengers Endgame is going to be 3 hours long. This thing was 7 hours long.
And they said, and because I saw somebody posted something about like at midnight, they're like, I don't think anybody's going to stay awake for this final match.
Dude, no, they literally said that when the big finish happened, you could almost hear people just talking. Like that's how like everyone was just like, yay. They're all like half asleep.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, you do it on the West Coast. So that when
there's no reason to have a 7 hour long show.
Well, but if you're going to do it on the West Coast. That way your live audience will still be awake and mostly in the venue when that happens.
I don't care when you have it. I'm not going to sit and think for 7 freaking hours. But they literally said that, and like I said, half the people actually had to get up and leave.
Because I got to work in the morning.
Well, not only that, because a lot of them, because it's in New Jersey. New Jersey's a lot like New York. A lot of people use public transportation. The last train of the day was literally a half hour before this thing happened, before the final match happened. So they're like, we gotta go.
Yeah, if we're going home, we gotta leave now.
And you would think that, like, okay, if we're gonna hold this in that city like that, we're gonna plan it so that doesn't happen. But it's just, and there's people like, we paid all this money for these tickets. This show is this freaking long. It actually ran longer than it was supposed to go, too. It ran like a half hour. It actually was 7.5 hours. And like the fans were just like, this sucked.
But was it actually scheduled for 7 hours?
It was actually scheduled for 7 hours and it ran 7.5.
Wow.
And I'm just like, nope. I've sat through like film, what you call it, where they show films back to back to back. Marathons. I've sat through, like, I actually sat through when the first Avenger movie came out. I actually sat through the marathon of the 5 movies that the 5 movies that had come out before that.
Oh,
so that's like, 8 hours right there before that movie came out. So altogether it was like 10.5 hours. I'm a fan. I'll do that. But the thing was, in between each movie, they gave you like a 15-minute window where you could go to the bathroom or something. Like that. This thing was 7 hours back to back to back. Oh yeah, I saw that, Jason. They did because they did like the whole Hall of Fame induction thing at the beginning of it. And Bret the Hitman Hart was attacked by this dude. They identified. I saw a thing about that. I'm not sure of all the details of that, but the guy who did it, they identified him and everything, and it was something about he was upset about some event that happened or something like that. And he just got.
You mean the 7 hour event?
Well, no, it was
something from before.
It was like somebody else's induction or something like that. Some crap, like some stupid crap. But the dude is like, "What are you going to attack Bret Hart for, man?" And he's like, the guy's like, what, in his 60s, late 50s, early 60s now. I mean, he didn't do anything to you, man. But yeah, it was a lot of stupid craziness. But like I said, I talked to a guy that actually went to it, and he was like, dude, by the time I got done with that thing, I felt like I needed to go into a coma. But 7 freaking hours.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Screw that. Okay, so that's all the news I got, or at least that's all I prepared for. There was something, I mean, I'm sure there's some other things that happened.
Oh yeah, tons,
but yeah. But like last week we said that one of the things we were going to talk about this week was our 5 favorite comics. And Tom said that he had some trouble whittling that down. So I changed it to the 5-ish favorite comics of all time. But were you able to actually whittle your list down?
I whittled it down. Like I said, I whittled it down. I've got 5 that are top, and then I have like 12 honorable mentions.
Okay, well, let's get all your honorable mentions out of the way. You know, I don't want to go into them too much, so just give us like a quick rundown of them, and then like.
Okay, honorable mentions, real quick. We got Akira, 3x3 Eyes, Gunsmith Cats, Ghost in the Shell, Giant Days, Saga, Nausicaa, Ranma, Twilight X, Scott Pilgrim, Boneyard, Tank Police, Dance Till Tomorrow, Mouse Guard, and the original 4-series run of Tank Girl. Those are the honorable mentions. Oh, and Monstrous.
That's a lot. That's a lot of manga, man.
There's a pretty good amount of manga on that.
Like 2/3 of that was manga. Okay, I'm interested on that. Some of the things that you said there, I'm actually surprised. I thought that would be like in your top 5.
I only get 5.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I thought
Dominion, some of these are top 5 quality things, but I had to make a list.
Like I thought your top 5 would be. I definitely thought Dominion Tank Police would be one of your top 5.
I got another Shiro in my top 5, so that's one of the things I had to decide which one I liked best. So some of the Shiros in the lower tier, and also 4 of the 5 in my top tier are done. There's a lot of things in the second tier that are still ongoing that aren't finished, so that's why I didn't put them in the top 5, because they could get screwed up. So some of the things that, like, Monstrous was in my top 5, but then I'm like, it is ongoing. So, God, I hope the hell they don't screw it up. But
okay,
because it'd be pretty hard. You know, they're on a really good arc. So,
okay. So, since you started it off, why don't you go ahead and start off with your first of your 5?
Well, I'm going to go bottom to top.
Oh, okay. So, whatever. I didn't do mine in any particular order. So.
Well, yeah, mine are more or less in this order. Number 5 of the top 5 is Red Sun.
Oh, Superman Red Sun?
Yeah, Superman Red Sun. Okay. That was simply awesome. Highly recommend it. A great what if scenario for Superman.
Which, for anybody who hasn't read it, that's basically what would happen if Superman had actually landed in the Soviet Union.
Yep. And it's a really good story. The whole thing is a
good story. A little interesting little side note on that. They actually recently did another one where it was what would happen if Superman had actually landed in Nazi Germany.
They got that from Saturday Night Live.
Actually, they got it from the original creation of Superman. The original creation of Superman, he was a bad guy.
Oh.
Yeah, he was.
I just remember the Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. But this was what it was is the guys who put it together. It was actually, and by the way, it was also drawn by Jim Lee, who's like one of my favorite artists of all time. We're gonna have to do another list of like our favorite artists and writers as well.
Artists, okay.
But yeah, it was basically because he was originally designed it was off of the idea of the Ubermensch, or however you pronounce it, the Overman, the Nazi, the Nazi Superman. So they took this idea of, well, let's do a story where that actually happened, and it was actually really interesting because they ended up fighting going up against Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters. So they brought that whole storyline back in there. But yeah, no, Red Sun of the Elseworlds is probably my second favorite. The first favorite I have would probably be Red Rain, with the Batman story where he actually gets turned into a vampire.
Oh yeah, that one.
So the one where he's fighting Dracula.
Yeah, that was a good one. I really like the story in that.
I think that's what it's called. It was called it's part of a series called University from DC. And it was, like I said, I can't remember who it was written by, but it was drawn by Jim Lee. It looks amazing. And the story it's basically, like I said, Hitler's like, oh my God, the gods have sent me my Overman. So no, it was pretty cool. All right, so that's your first one. My first one is Kingdom Come, and I've talked about this book, and Holly knows about this book, and I talked to you
I
about.
know about this book.
I love this, dude. I love this book. It's to sum it up in a single word. It's the Book of Revelations done with DC superheroes. The art and the story were created by Alex Ross. It's written by Mark Waid, which Mark Waid's actually a very controversial person these days, but it's so pretty, man. Alex Ross is definitely one of my top 5 artists of all times. I mean, I know it takes him forever to do a project, but his version
does it well, then
his version of Superman, like when I think of Superman, that's the character that's who I see. But basically, though, the gist of the book is, it's set slightly in the future, probably about 20, 25 years in the future. Superman and the other heroes have become jaded by the embracement of far more violent heroes and whatnot. So they basically just leave. They just get kind of going to kind of pseudo retirement. And the Spectre, who's basically the wrath of God, he has to have a human fetter, and he chooses this old preacher named Norman McKay. He's like, okay, you're going to judge the heroes. Like this cataclysm's coming, and you're going to judge what happens to the heroes. So, long story short, Wonder Woman convinces Superman. She's like, look, the world's in chaos. We need your help. You need to come back and, help us set things right. And the whole story is told, which it's really cool because the whole story is told from Norman McKay's eyes, and he's just this normal guy. But he's being told you have to pass judgment on these uber people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and like I said, it's literally the Book of Revelations done with superheroes, and it's so freaking amazing. The artwork in it. And for Jason, if you've never read this thing before, man, Alex Ross, he doesn't draw, he paints. This whole freaking book, which is like 144 pages long, it's all painted. And it's freaking beautiful, man. But yeah, and everything Alex Ross does is actually pretty good. Like he did a follow-up series, which is a little different. It's called Justice. Again, all hand painted. He did these giant. Remember when comic books used to come and they were in those giant size form?
Yeah.
And they were like, because they were basically, the pages were the same size as the pages when they were drawn. So it was like 11 by 17. That's how big they were. He did one for each of the Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. He did an oversized book for each of one of those. Everything the guy touches pretty much turns to gold. Yes, Kingdom Come, Jason, Kingdom Come. Check it out. Easily one of the best comic book stories ever written, and definitely one of the most beautiful. Alex Ross is like I said, he's one of my 5 favorite artists of all time. But yeah, Kingdom Come is my first pick in my 5. Okay, Tom, what's your second?
Second is Bone by Jeff Smith.
Bone?
Yep.
Dude, I love. Dude, man, is he still doing Bone? Is he still doing it?
Bone ended. He's doing what's it called? Is it called Rascal? I think it's called.
Yeah,
is the one he's doing now. He's been doing that for several years now, since Bone ended.
Okay, he didn't do Liberty Metals too, did he?
No, that's Frank Cho.
That's Frank Cho. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Bone. Bone was a lot of fun because it was just weird.
Well, and it just started out just a little kid story, you could say. It just started off with, with him and his cousins first him getting lost and ending up in I'm blanking on the name of the town, and then his cousins show up, and and they're these little just kind of blobby creatures. They look like dough, kind of. They're just
what they remind me of? They remind me of a cross between Snoopy and Woodstock.
I was going to say Snoopy and was it Shmoo?
Yeah,
because they can actually kind of deform themselves a little bit too. They can't really, their form's a little changeable. And it was just such a cute story. And then it got a little darker, a lot darker. But it was good. It was really good. And I love the stupid rat creatures were freaking awesome. the two little. I don't know if just they were communist or if all the rat creatures were communists and referred to each other as comrade. And
I think it was just those two, if I'm remembering good. You would know better than me though, because I haven't read that.
I don't think any of the other ones ever had any dialogue except for the king. So
yeah.
But yeah, the two of them that were, and the one had the whole thing about making quiche, which was just a running joke, that and the stupid rat creatures. It was just good, a lot of fun. And just overall, just such a, when all was said and done, was just turned out to be such a good story.
Yeah, and that thing had legs, man, because he was doing that book for a long time.
Yeah, I actually got to meet him at a comic book thing here in Cleveland, because he's from Columbus, I believe, or at least went to school at Ohio State, because I know he did some like comics for the student newspaper or whatever. But yeah, I actually got to meet him here when it was on like issue 6. And
wow, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and I bought like the first set of 6 that were out, and he autographed them for me and stuff. It was really cool. And then my roommate's cat chewed just those up out of the stack of comics I had. The cat just got down on the bottom, pulled a couple out, and just chewed up those 6. Like, really? There were some on the top that you could have just, you dumb cat.
There's actually a book. It's a crowdfunded book I've been looking into. It's called Packens Land.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy, he's been doing it for a long time. I mean, this thing's like, he's what he's doing. He's doing is called the Packens Land Omnibus, and it's this thing's got like over 400 pages in it. But he's been doing it. It's basically, it's kind of in the same vein where it's this dude, because correct me if I'm wrong, but what was the name of the girl that was in the series?
I don't know.
It's kind of like she's kind of shows up in that thing, and she's kind of like stuck in the middle of all the crap, right?
Oh, you mean in Bone?
Yeah. In Bone,
what is her name?
Yeah, I can't remember her name now.
Well, yeah, she turns out to be kind of the key to everything.
Yeah, well, he does, like in this Packens Land book he does. This dude, he gets sent to this land where it's like all kinds of like talking animals and stuff. And he has to, he basically makes friends with them. He makes enemies with some of them, and they're just like the whole thing is him trying to get back to where he, back home and everything. But the style of the art and everything kind of reminds me of Bone. So I'll throw a link in the thing here. You can check it out.
Okay.
It's very cheap. Like I said, it's over 400 pages, and you can get the whole thing for $25. So, but okay, so Bone is your number 2.
Yep.
Okay, so for my number 3, I actually chose for my number 2, like I said, these aren't in any particular order, but is the Teen Titans Judas Contract. And that is, when I was a kid, I was actually into Batman before anything else, and I was actually into Teen Titans before I got into the X-Men. And I got into Teen Titans because of Robin. But Teen Titans, the Judas Contract was a story, was a book that, like, it was a lot of firsts for me. It was the first book I ever read where one of the heroes actually betrays their friends. Like, I'm like, no, you can't. Like, before that, I'm like, wait a minute, no, you're a hero. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, what? No, you can't do that. It's like, but and it's also one of the first books I ever read where the bad guy wins.
Oh.
Because in the book, so the basic story is, like, you got the Teen Titans. One of them, they get a new member named, well, she's a new member. She was there for like 2 years, named Tara. And it turns out that she's actually a mole. She's actually a plant from the villain Deathstroke, Deathstroke actually became one of my favorite villains later on. And she betrays the team. And because she betrays the team, the bad guy wins. Like, literally the whole thing was he was supposed to capture them and take them to this other organization called Hive. And he does. And I'm like, what? Wait, no. Yeah, I remember when I'm reading this, I'm like 10 or 11 years old when I first read it. And but the heroes are supposed to win. What happened? Where's Batman? You know, it's like, I'm like, it was one of those things where I was like, wait a minute, the good guys can lose? What? So I was like, but then later on, I went back and I read it, and you read it when you're a little older, and it's like, wow, man. But there's a lot of things, there's a lot of firsts that happen in that book. It's the first. That's when Dick Grayson first becomes Nightwing.
Okay.
And it's also where you get you're introduced to Deathstroke and his origin. So Deathstroke's origin is actually really, really screwed up and messed up. But yeah, like that was the first time I read a book where it was like literally like real stakes in a comic book story. And at the end, somebody dies. And I was like, I can't again, it's like, like, wait, what?
I'm Ted. You can't do this to me.
I'm a little kid. You're shattering my innocence. But no, that book, because of that, because of all the firsts that were in that, and because of like I said, like it's the first time I ever read a book where, one of the good guys actually turned out to be a bad guy, and the bad guys actually lost. That book has always had like a really
bad guys won
element to me. Yeah, the bad guys won. So, but it's also, like I said, it's where Dick Grayson first becomes Nightwing, and it's also where you first introduced to Deathstroke. So, Teen Titans Judas Contract. So it was written by Dave Wolfman, and it was drawn by George Perez, who's still, in my personal opinion, one of the best comic book artists in the world, who just recently retired.
Awesome.
Okay. Number 3.
Number 3 is Orion by Masamune Shirow.
Okay, that's your Shirow?
Oh yeah, that's my Shirow pick.
Okay.
I don't know if I actually, from the sound of it, I don't think you've read it. It is
Orion. Awesome. I have read it a long time ago.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the one where they're on the ship.
No, it's the one about the gods.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking about there's a different anime manga that's got the title Orion in it. No, I have read the one. I have read Orion. Like I said, it's been a really long time.
And I didn't know this at the time, even though I sort of had already read it. But Orion certainly reminds me an awful lot of. I'm gonna blank on the guy's name now. The monkey from Journey to the West.
God, I know who you're talking about.
But anyways, yeah, Orion's this god, although he fights a monkey god in
the Monkey King.
The Monkey King, yeah, Monkey King. Not god, yeah, Monkey King. But yeah, he actually fights a monkey god in it, but it's like a lot of Shirow stuff. There's a lot of very fantastical stuff in it. Mm-hmm. They have a type of transport that I guess is kind of like in Dune, where they kind of use telepathy to warp. So there's this girl that's one of they're called navigators. I think that's what they were called. But she's like getting off duty and getting drunk with her friends, and there's this whole. They're trying to get rid of all the negative karma.
Okay.
So they're like, all these priests are doing this ritual to get all the negative karma, and then that way, it'll be gone and everything will be right. But of course, you're doing that and you're setting everything out of balance, and you're also gathering all the negative karma into one spot. So that's not good. So they're doing this, and there are people that are trying to stop them because they're like, bad idea. So, God, I forget exactly how Orion got summoned into this whole thing, but they refer to spells as formulas. And to hide one of these formulas, the girl's father binds it to her And then at some point, Orion sees him when he's fighting. I think it's the monkey god or one of the other things, but he ends up seeing the formula on her, and knowing that he doesn't have time to read it and make sense of it right now, he basically dehydrates her and eats her.
Oh,
sounds weird, but
yeah.
And then she's actually weighing him down during the fight, so he spits her out. So she now has semi-like god powers. It's, like I said, it's really fantastical. It's funny. It's weird. It's awesome. It's, I think, Shiro at his best. So it's very cool.
Wow. Sorry, I got that James Hudnall died.
Oh,
yeah. He was. Did you ever read that series, Harsh Realm?
Harsh Realm sounds familiar.
Yeah, they actually did a Chris Carter actually did a series, a TV series based off of it, and he also did a book called Strike Force Mortuary. And then the thing that I remember him from most is he wrote Lex Luthor, the unauthorized biography. But apparently he just died. So that's sad.
Condolences.
Cool.
Thanks.
Cool deal, man. Cool deal. All right. So my number 3 is the X-Men New Mutants Asgardian saga.
And, well, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was actually a miniseries that they did. And it was it had art by Arthur Adams. And the thing that was cool about it was it's a story, like when you say that, you like X-Men New Mutants Asgardian saga, you're like, that doesn't sound like it should work. Okay. But it does. And that was what was so cool about it. So like I said, it was like the art was from, again, one of my absolute favorite artists, Arthur Adams, who also did Days of Future Past. And if you've ever read the new Fantastic Four, where it was the Fantastic Four disappeared, and they had to get and it was the Hulk, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, and Wolverine became the new Fantastic Four for like 2 issues. Again, something that doesn't sound like it should work, but it did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where you're thinking of that. You're like, okay, you know who the Hulk is in that.
Yeah, like it does not seem like it should make words. It was actually called Asgardian Wars.
Yeah.
And it was written by Chris Claremont, which obviously, is not a surprise because Chris Claremont's probably the greatest X-Men writer of all time. But the whole story basically comes out like this. Thor's away dealing with something to do with Hela. He's actually in hell I think he was trying to get Odin's soul back. And because the throne of Asgard is vacant, Loki makes a bid for it by kidnapping Storm of the X-Men and trying to transform her into the new god of thunder. And in the process, the New Mutants are kind of caught up in this. And because he has all these little, like, okay, how do they know, man? It happens every time, man. How do they know?
I do not know.
But he uses the Enchantress as an agent because he's kind of like all the other gods are watching him. So he's kind of like trying to, obviously he's doing his manipulation thing. And the mutants get caught up and they get transported by accident as well. And from there, it's where like just the craziness ensues. The cool thing about this story was, other than the fact that it was just a really interesting story, like I said, it doesn't sound like it should work, but it does. There were a lot of elements from this story that got carried over forever. Like they're still doing them. And in fact, right now they're doing that whole War of the Realms storyline, which, by the way, I read the first issue of that and it sucked. But there's actually, besides that, there's actually stuff back from this story that they're bringing up in that crossover right now. That's how long this thing was put out back in the 80s.
Wow.
So some of the things that the elements that they're keeping, Danny Moonstar, who goes by the name of Mirage, She became a Valkyrie, and that's the story. That's part of that storyline is carrying over into the current story right now. Rain, aka Wolfsbane, she develops this romance with a shape-shifting wolf prince there, which they just actually did a story about that, and that's actually coming back up. But the big thing that happened from this was there's a character named Cypher. His name's Doug Ramsey, and another character named Warlock, who was like this techno-organic being. They did this thing where they actually merged together, and that had huge ramifications later on because that led to the creation of a villain known as the Phalanx. And that character had that villain has popped up over and over and over again from there. So from this story, like I said, like that doesn't seem like it should work. All these things that have been mainstays just came out of the story, including Storm being connected to Asgard and Loki ever since. And in fact, they just did a story where she got her like because Loki has a new hammer made for her, similar to Thor's, and it's destroyed at the end, but somehow it's back because modern Marvel doesn't give a crap about continuity. But the thing that was cool was how like I said, it was a story, like I said, doesn't seem like it would work. The art is awesome. I love Arthur Adams. He does facial expressions and textures better than anybody I've ever seen. And this was the book that actually made me into an X-Men fan. Because like I said, I was a Teen Titans fan. I was a DC guy long before I was a Marvel guy. I'm a Marvel fan, but I'm a DC guy. So yeah, but yeah, if you can check it out, X-Men Asgardian Wars, one of my favorites. All right, number 4.
Number 4. This actually originally was going to be Battle Angel Alita.
Okay. So I was going to say that has to be on there somewhere.
It's not actually. That's actually had to be moved. I didn't mention it before, but that had to be moved down into the honorable mentions. Still love it. It's freaking awesome. And if you even kind of like the movie and haven't read it yet, read Battle Angel. It's amazing.
That movie, man. I'm so upset that movie didn't do better than it did because of all the PC BS.
Yeah,
that movie was much better than they gave it credit for. I mean, there are things in it, obviously, that it's not that as fans of the manga, we would rather see those things in there. But overall, it's got to be one of the most faithful anime adaptations I've ever seen.
Yeah. And I'll go on with my actual number 4 here.
but it's also actually, and it's definitely a great action film.
Yeah, had I not read the manga, I'd have been like, "Oh my god, this is just so amazing." But yeah, since I read it, I was like, "Go!"
Yeah, I know you're like we talked about. You're a much bigger fan of Alita than I am. So,
but anyways, yeah. By number 4, is actually Serenity Rose by Aaron Alakovich.
Yeah, we suck with names around here.
Yeah, we're Alexovich.
I don't think I've ever read that one, man.
You should. It's good. It is freaking awesome. Especially when you're considering the time difference between when he started and when he finished. Because I don't even remember when the first issues of it started to come, probably back in the early 90s.
Wait a minute. Was this one of those ones where it was originally just like a bunch of little like strips almost? And then
this was a comic book. I mean,
okay, I'm thinking of something else then, because I'm looking at some pictures of it. I'm like, I kind of remember that.
But anyways, he's best known for doing the character design for Invader Zim.
Oh, okay, I do remember you telling me about this.
So if you like that style, if you like the look of Invader Zim, that's him.
I love him. I wish that shit was still going on.
I still got to see the movie.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet either.
It came out last fall. I really got to see it sometime. But anyway, Serenity Rose is about a witch and her angsty little self and her friends, and kind of to set it up. It's an alternate world. They said she's a witch, there are always 57 witches, no matter what. One witch dies, the next person to be born is a witch. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what, none of that. Your background doesn't matter. Just if you're the next person born after one witch dies, you're the next witch. So she has all this power. Some witches are really famous. There was actually a colony of them here in America because they left Europe at one point because they're like, screw you guys. And, you know, back in like the 1600s, they came here and then they all disappeared. And God, what's the name of the town? I'm so bad with this.
Yeah,
but
we don't prepare very well.
It's the spookiest little town in America, and it's the town that these witches had made before they disappeared. And then basically they've kind of like turned it into a Disney-esque sort of place. It's very touristy, and
it's magical.
It's weird is what it is. But they turned it into kind of like this real just tourist trap place, and they got Serenity Rose's family to move there when she was really young so that they could actually have a real witch as part of this town, you know, boost tourism. And she hates it. She just wants to be left alone. And at least the original series, everyone started off with, "Dear diaries are stupid." And, you know, and she would have this like monologue from her diary that she's keeping. And she's fairly judgmental, and she has a lot of power, though she doesn't really quite know how to use it. It is a really, really.
It's got that kind of humor in it, that Zim humor.
A bit like that. I mean, it also takes some really serious things. Like, she more or less, I don't want to say has a temper tantrum, but she gets mad at something at one point, and like kind of takes the school bus that she's on with other kids on a flight. You know, people got hurt, and there is an agency, of course, that's supposed to try to deal with this. And they kind of showed up at her house, and things went wrong.
Okay.
And as then at one point, it's like a side thing where they're interviewing one of the squad that came in to get her, and he's basically like, "Yeah, you just don't know what we're dealing with. You have to understand that the only chance we have is if we shoot them in the head before they know we're there. Otherwise, we're screwed." Now, I mean, that's not an exaggeration. I mean, witches can really screw you up, and it turns out that she's actually being stalked by another witch, which is a very involved, very kind of tragic story. Well, not kind of, it's very tragic. And then at the end of the first series, she actually gets training by a famous witch because, like I said, Serenity just wants to be left alone. But she's here in this little town where she's kind of the spotlight of everything. And there are other witches that are very famous. Two of them are musicians. And one is this guy that's really weird and kind of a jerk. And another one is, her name is Vicious Whisper. You know, and she's like a pop star, you know, kind of thing. And the whole series is really good. It's kind of cute, kind of creepy. I think it even goes into the whole thing about the whole creepy cute genre, I guess you could say.
Cool.
But I highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Okay. Cool deal, man. All right. So my number 4 is Invincible, and I'm talking specifically about the first storyline from the book. So the book ran for a really long time. I think it went to 144 issues. But again, it started off, I was attracted to it because of the art. The artist's name is my brain is completely
Took a fart.
Yeah, my brain just went Ryan Otley, and he's a really, really good his style has gotten a little more basic in the recent years, but in the early years, man, it was really detailed. It was really good. It's a very dynamic art style. But it's also written. It was created and written by Robert Kirkman, who's also the guy who created and wrote The Walking Dead. And
Cool.
the basic storyline is what would it be like if you like? Again, I'm going to sum this up in like a single sentence. What would it be like if you were the teenage son of Superman, and he turned out to be a bad guy?
Ooh, that has some more implications.
Yeah. So basically, the main character's name is Mark Grayson. He's the son of the world's greatest hero, this guy named Omni-Man. And I believe he's 17 years old. Mark's powers first start to manifest himself, and the first story arc, you're going over these, he's learning how to use his powers. He's, the ups and downs of being a young superhero. And the whole time there's a hero killer on the loose, someone who's murdering some of the biggest heroes on Earth. And ultimately, and again, by the way, we're going to spoil all this crap that we're talking about. He eventually
I tried to leave some stuff out, but yeah,
I don't do that. I'm not smart enough.
I can't stop.
Ultimately, what ends up happening is that he eventually finds out that his dad is the hero killer, and it turns out that his dad's been lying to everybody. He's actually a member of a race of conquerors called the Viltrumite. And what they do is they send. It's kind of like if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, you're going to kind of be like, oh, someone stole this. Basically, this race, what they do is they send members out to other planets that are potentially either dangerous or useful, and have something that they want, and they either take over the planet, or they prepare it for being taken over, or they destroy it. And that's what his dad's been doing. He went there. He basically is watching the humans. He does actually care about his wife and his son, but he's a loyal member of this thing. So basically, his son ends up fighting his dad. And that's when you are introduced to the other element of this book, which is it is insanely violent. This has the most violent superhero battles I have ever read in my entire life. Every time you have one of those discussions about like who would win in a fight between Batman and Superman, and everyone's like, well, if Superman just cut loose, didn't hold back, he would just like explode Batman with a single punch. That's the kind of stuff that happens in this book. Like people getting punched in the head and their heads explode. Like, and body parts getting ripped off and just insanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of something right now that I read that was kind of like that, where
it's like Fist of the North Star, but done in a freaking what you call it, a Western style. Yeah, Jason, I saw that. I actually posted a tweet on it. Mike S. Miller told me about it. One of the comic pros I know actually posted that out. But yeah, it's pretty sad. He actually has, and actually, you know what? I could throw that up here. He has a crowdfunded book going on right now, and if anybody wants to just to do like a donation for his family or something, can do that. I'll throw it in the description at some point here. I gotta look it up, but yeah, like it's and as the fights are the most like basically if you took people that were on that level of power like Superman and you pitted them against each other, the devastation and the destruction that they would do, not just to the area around them, but to themselves.
Well, I was about to say, actually, two people like that fighting each other would just be like two normal people fighting each other, except that it would destroy everything within a certain radius around them.
Oh yeah, like and that's the cool thing that actually happens in the book too, is like that world has consequences. Like if a city gets destroyed, it's gone. And at one point, the entire city of Las Vegas gets completely wiped out. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. Like everybody dies. And it's but like one of the things about the race that he's a part of, the Viltrumites, is they regenerate. They regenerate not like Wolverine fast, but they do regenerate, and they can regenerate from crazy amounts of damage. Like his dad punches a hole through his chest, and he actually regenerates from that. So it takes a lot to kill one of these guys, but just like the level of blood and carnage is like it was completely unexpected. I'm like, what, dude? It's like, good God, man. But yeah, but it's also just a really good. It's a really good superhero book that has a lot of like realistic stuff that happens in it. Like when he makes a mistake, he screws up bad.
I was going to say, I've kind of noticed here that 2 of your top 10s or top 5s have kind of scarred you.
Well, it wasn't that they scarred me. It was like, well, I didn't expect that. That's not the kind of thing you would think. But yeah, that's my number 4, man. All right, Tom, this is your last one. Make it a good one.
Oh, it's good. Do you have a guess? You know me. You should have a guess on this. And I'll give you a clue. Irish accents.
Oh my God, I'm pulling the brain fart.
Well, you know this as soon as I say it.
Yeah,
it's Fred Perry's Gold Digger.
Yes. Okay. You know what? I'm not surprised by that.
This comic book has just such a soft spot in my heart, and it is ongoing.
Yeah, but still going today.
Unless he like joins some weird cult or something, I really don't think he is capable of screwing this up.
Well, it's such a weird book to begin with, man. I mean, it's like,
well, first of all, if you like nerd culture and you like references to bizarre stuff that nobody else is going to get, read Gold Digger. He rips. I don't want to say rips off. He is an homage to almost everything. Yeah. I mean, Star Wars, Star Trek, Leprechaun. I swear to God,
Power Rangers, Godzilla.
What's the one with the giant robot with the 5 lions? I'm blanking. Help me out here, Rob. Voltron, yeah. The Leprechauns actually have their own Voltron. I'm just saying. So that in itself is just freaking awesome.
It makes fun of like Back to the Future, Transformers.
Tons of manga references.
Oh yeah.
It's just awesome. And like I said, for a black guy from Atlanta, Georgia, he writes the best Irish dialogue. I mean, it's corny Irish dialogue because they're leprechauns. And the book is not about leprechauns, but they do make their appearances from time to time. Yeah. Like, it's got almost everything that you could. It's got giant monsters. It's got possessed mice. It's got
everything.
It runs the gambit. It's
got cloning. It's basically any kind of fandom or like any kind of like anime or comic book that has any kind of following. He's made fun of it at some point.
Or not even made fun of it. It's just it's in there. It's
just homaged it in some way.
And ancient legends. And it's all, I don't want to say tying up really well, but he's had a continuous story arc from the beginning, which I didn't even catch on to for a couple years, but there is a underlying ongoing arc from like the first issue.
Yeah.
And it's basically, the main character is Gina Diggers, who is the daughter of Julia and crap, I'm going to blank on his name. What's the dad's name? I forget the dad. But anyway, her dad is a mage. Her mom is a warrior from a fantasy world. Her dad had actually gone to that world to train as a mage. They fell in love. They came back to Earth, had her, they adopted a were-cheetah as their other daughter, and
then they ended up with a third sister.
That's Brittany.
It was a mix of the two of them.
Yeah, and then Brianna, the mix of Brianna and Gina, is their other sister, and she's literally half of each of them.
Yeah.
So Gina is incredibly smart, just total science nerd, and then Brittany she's a were-cheetah.
She's super strong, tough,
fast as hell. And even though, as the one were-rat points out at one point, he's like, she is the slowest, sloppiest were-cheetah I have ever seen in my life. And she's the only one left, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's like, and she alone could destroy our entire clan. She could hunt us all down and kill us, no problem. So yeah, there's were-rats, werewolves, were-cheetahs, were-lions, tons of were-creatures in it.
A sorcerer named Spelvis.
Yeah. And best power ever, he's a bard that has like a +20 on charming women. And and it's Spelvis, so it's Elvis.
Yeah, it's Elvis with spells.
With spells that are all charm spells, and he just gets women to do his bidding. And it's Spelvis. There's dragons. It's everything you could want as a nerd is in this book.
Yeah,
they're got, I don't know what, as far as the bricks, which are these huge anthologies of everything. I'm not sure if they're on like 9 or 12 or something like that. It's
a nerd grab bag is what it is.
It is. It's awesome. I can't say. And the artwork is fantastic. I mean, it is improved and streamlined over the years, and it's all in color now. Thank you, Fred Perry. Thank you. I hope to God you hear this, because you're awesome.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I'd love it if either I could get down there to one of the cons that Antarctic Press is actually at, or if he ever comes up here, goddamn, I'm meeting that guy sometime.
Well, actually, there's an artist named Matthew Weldon. I talk to him every once in a while. He's doing a book for Antarctic right now.
Which one?
It's called Punchline.
Okay, yeah, I know it.
It's actually really good. The artwork's fantastic, man. He's a crazy good artist. He's the guy I told you about that uses a ballpoint pen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like he makes me sick. Yeah, but okay, man. All right, so my last one. This one is actually kind of stupid, but it's one of those books that I just really liked, because at the time I was like, a metalhead and everything. So, and it's Evil Ernie.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
The original Evil Ernie, and then the original Evil Ernie Returns. One of the best and the most fun horror comics I've ever read. I'm a big fan of Brian Pulido, who, by the way, just actually got, because what happened was when Chaos Comics went under, they got bought by, I can't remember the name of the company that bought them. I think it was Dynamite. But
maybe, I don't know.
He finally got the rights to Lady Death back. And he just launched a crowdfunded book for a new Lady Dead series. But unfortunately, he doesn't have Evil Ernie. Hopefully someday he might be able to get it back, but right now he probably can't. So kind of sucks, but yeah. So real quick synopsis. The best way I can describe this book is it's like a heavy metal video mixed with Night of the Living Dead. I mean, we're talking, crazy music, big hair, leather,
guitars
and zombies and violence. So basic story: Ernie Fairchild is the only kid of an abusive parents, who eventually comes to realize he has a unique power. He has telepathy. And course of events bring him into the attention of Lady Death, who is this crazy 90s style, big hair, oversexed death goddess, who convinces Ernie. Like I said, this thing is like it's like an Ozzy Osbourne and Lita Ford video mixed with a horror film. And she convinces Ernie to give in to his destructive rage, which results in him to becoming a serial killer. Events get manipulated by Lady Death and Ernie, which result in his eventual death while connected to an experimental machine that was designed to cure him of his insanity,
his psychoses.
Yeah, and because of the energy, necromantic energy that she's pumping into it, and because of his psychic ability, he's reborn as an undead, and he calls himself Evil Ernie. And his telepathy is transformed into an ability that allows him to resurrect and control the dead. And the whole purpose he has is he wants to bring about Megadeath, which is basically the death of everything on Earth, so that Lady Death can walk the Earth. She can come back to Earth because he's basically in love with her. So it's kind of a Thanos kind of thing, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, this book, it was just freaking crazy. It was crazy. It was ultra violent and typical. It was everything you could think about the 90s that was fun. And it eventually resulted in, like I said, the entire Chaos universe, which had all characters like Lady Death. She had her own series, Chastity, the Vampire, Purgatory, Homicide, Cremator. They made an entire universe out of this thing. And unfortunately, like a lot of the other stuff in the 90s, when the comic book bubble kind of disintegrated, they went out of business. They basically overextended themselves. But the original, and I'll be honest with you, as time went on, I really started losing interest in the book because they kind of tried to turn him into a hero. And back when the first two books, the original black and white Evil Ernie and Evil Ernie Evil Ernie 2, those books, man, those were the ones that I liked. Those books, they're just, like I said, they're just batshit crazy. But it was the 90s, man. That's the kind of stuff that was going on in the 90s. It was over the top. You could not you could not do those books today. You could not do those books today. People would lose their freaking nuggets if you tried.
I don't know. Have you seen seen Hexed?
Well, let me put it this way: they could do it, but they're gonna eat a yard of crap for it. But yeah, that was my number 5, man. So that's our top 5.
That was the top 5. Yep.
The more you know. But yeah, so we'll do another list. I don't know if we'll do it next week, but we're gonna do another list of like our favorite creators, because I'm sure Tom's gonna have a field day with that one. But
I don't know, it may just look like this list over again. So
yeah. Well, dude, you're nothing if not consistent.
I like what I like.
But that brings us to our movie review.
Ah, yes, here we go.
Oh yeah, strap in, kids. It's gonna get fun. So Tom and I went and saw the movie Us.
I definitely liked it more than Rob.
Tom definitely liked it more than me. He definitely liked it more than me and Holly. Me and Holly both have been sending tweets back and forth with problems that we have with the movie.
Oh, I wholly admit that this movie had a lot of problems.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there are just some things that are just huge. Yeah, glaringly just, obviously. Well, what it is, they had a good premise. It's a good premise. I really like the story behind it.
Well, let's talk about the things we did like about it. And by the way, we are going to spoil the hell out of this thing. So if you want to see this movie, you need to stop this. People who are going to watch this later.
Yeah, if you want to see us
right now.
Yeah, because we're going to go into it. We're going to.
Here's the things that I thought were good. Like you said, the concept is interesting.
Yeah, I really like the concept.
It's an interesting concept. The cast is actually really good.
Yeah, the cast was awesome.
The
acting was first rate. Was very good.
The fact that they're everybody's playing two characters.
Yeah.
Basically. that shows a lot of range. So I give them credit for that. Like I said, the concept's interesting. The gore, like if you're into like gory films and violence,
it wasn't that gory, really.
Wasn't really that gory, but the kills were somewhat creative.
Yeah.
So I'll give it that. And I guess there was some,
and there's a lot of symbolism in it.
There is a lot,
even if you don't realize. And then there's other stuff that I don't know if it's symbolic or not, or if it's symbolic or not. But like the glove that they all wear, they all have the like golfer glove on the right hand. I have no idea what that is.
There was the humor that was in the movie. Some of it was good.
Yeah.
In fact, all of it was actually pretty good. The only problem I had with some of the humor is that it was ill-timed. And actually, I'll go into that. I'll go into that into the things that we have a problem with it. But yeah, there are things about the movie that are good. There's obvious creativity going on. And it was a good concept. Here's where the movie falls apart. Okay, for me at least. In the beginning, I liked it more when it was in the house than when they got out. Because I feel like the house gave it like this claustrophobic feel.
Well, at that point, it was just it's just them.
Yeah, and
that's what's good. It's very nuclear, you could say. It's just very, very dense. This is going on right here in front of you. This is what's happening. This is and then it does then expand beyond that. But yeah, when they're in the house, it's very, very tense. Very, oh crap, because like you said, claustrophobic. They are, well, in quotes, they are you, and you're trapped in here with them.
Yeah, it was a much more intimate. It's kind of like the same thing with like in the first Aliens film. Like you're stuck in this place and you don't have anywhere to go. And I actually read some stuff on that, Holly, and basically a lot of the symbolism is it's basically a failing of the American dream. Is one of the concepts of the film, which I get that, but man, I tell you what, I think a lot of the symbolism fell short too. But yeah, but in the first half of the movie, the fact that like when they're in the house and it's just them, it feels more dramatic. It feels more like there's more pressing that like the danger's more prevalent.
Yeah, more personal. And
it's more intimate and it's more scary. And once they get out of the house, it just falls apart. It just falls apart because they can go anywhere. Okay. And the other thing too is once they're out of the house, like Holly said last night, this is America. This is America, man. Where are all the guns? Like there isn't a single gun in this movie.
Technically one.
Well, technically one, it's a flare gun. But here's the thing. All these people they're fighting with knives and scissors.
And bats and pokers.
A single police department could gun all these people down.
Now, however, I would like to make a counterpoint. They did have a plan. They never go into what the plan is, but she would probably know enough that the police would have to be dealt with first, and you know who they are. Because if you threaten the family of the police, if all of a sudden all the cops all get, we're getting a call from your house.
Okay,
they're going to go to their houses. So I mean, there is an out for that.
Here's my problem with that. There are more private gun owners than there are cops.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can't tell me that the people that live in that town ain't going to have a ton of guns.
Oh, probably.
Right? So that's a problem right there. The humor they had a problem with is that the humor is actually pretty good, but it's done in places where it completely destroys the tension.
Yeah.
Because it's
once again, the flare gun.
Yeah.
Was when he does shoot the flare gun, he's like, oh.
Really? Yeah, and it's
Oh, now I guess we got to fight.
It's just, and not only that, but it's this almost nonchalant sarcasm that's laced through the entire movie. You know, it's just like it's just like, okay, you're being hunted and stalked by people who look like you. You're being hunted by doppelgangers. Okay? That should freak you out to the point where you are hyperventilating to the point of almost dying. And you're sitting here cracking one-liners? No, that's and like I said, and plus in places where they could build all this tension, somebody says a joke and it just completely erases that. I just it just fell so flat for me. And then that's the other thing I was going to bring up is the logistics of this place, the where all these people are coming from, this underground facility.
Yeah, it must be magical in some way.
Unless they've got like Star Trek replicators down there or something.
That only replicate bunnies.
Or, that only replicate bunnies, orange jumpsuits, leather gloves, and gold scissors.
Yeah, I don't get the gold scissors. Oh, actually, I do get the gold scissors.
Bronze scissors, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's like, where are they coming from?
Well, I get the symbolism behind them.
I get it. I get the symbolism, but the logistics. Okay, and I understand suspension of disbelief. I get that. It's a horror film. Suspension of disbelief is expected.
It's like Overlord. Overlord was good, but you had to suspend an awful lot of belief for Overlord.
This movie doesn't have suspension of disbelief. This movie kicks that in the balls. Okay. The other thing too is the main characters the main character is inconsistent in her motivations and the things that she does. One minute she wants to run, the next minute she wants to fight. One minute she's all about, being in control, the next minute she's falling apart. And I guess it's like a zombie apocalypse scene. No one else could have. Yeah, like all these people are laying there dead. Nobody can defend themselves against these people with a pair of scissors. There are none of them. There are no orange jumpsuit bodies laying around except for the ones that this family kills. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Here's the thing. Okay, and the ballet crap. Apparently, taking a few years of ballet turns you into freaking Neo from the Matrix. Because this chick is like untouchable. And it's like, what? No, I'm sorry. Ballet does not turn you into a ninja. Okay. I mean, I get that she's been planning this for decades, and she's probably a much better fighter than her counterpart is. But you're not going to be friggin' Jackie Chan. All right. It's just stupid. Now here's one that I was thinking, like I said, I had some time to think about this. Here's something that I got. Her kids.
Yeah.
Her kids aren't clones.
Nope.
So why do they act like the other clones? They have
that's something that they did not think of before they made this.
Yes, they did not. They were born like normal, so they have their own, like, quote unquote souls.
Well, maybe because only one of their parents had a soul.
That's reaching, dude.
But then again, the flip side to that coin is the other kids. Only one of their parents had a soul.
Right. If you're going with that whole soul thing.
Right.
But
it's got to work both ways.
And also that because those kids were not clones, or, by the way, spoiler alert, clones. Because their kids weren't clones, the whole thing where her son basically makes the other kid mimic him and kills him doesn't make any sense. The fact that they can track them like that doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't be connected like that. But here's
because they are not clones.
Now with the son, I can kind of excuse that, because it seemed like what it was is the little boy was just mimicking him.
The clone boy.
The clone boy. Well,
the clone-ish boy.
Quote unquote, the evil one.
The jumpsuit boy.
Yeah, it seemed like his thing was he wanted to mimic him. So maybe that's a psychological thing or something. But the fact that the other girl could, yeah, that whole the storyline doesn't fit the kids.
Yeah,
doesn't fit the kids. And dude, yeah, there's so many plot holes in this movie. And again, good concept, great cast, but man, this thing just it falls apart really quick. Care to comment?
Well, I mean, I can't really disagree with you. I mean, like I said, I liked it. I liked it more than you did. But then again, anytime I go into a horror movie, I'm kind of like, I'm certainly not nitpicky about it, because if I were, then I would never go to a horror movie, because I just like.
Yeah, and that's one other thing I was pointing out. The hook, the what's a twist in this movie, you could figure it out in like 15 minutes. Like I had this whole movie figured out in 15 minutes. Now other than the duplicate thing, I figured it's one of two things. It's either science or supernatural. But as far as like the whole doppelganger thing going on, the twist ending with the main character, I had that figured out from the minute they showed her.
Yeah.
So Holly's got movies with a big reveal at the end need to be able to hold up on a second viewing, given the reveal at the end that the mom is the double and the double is the girl. Her inconsistent behavior makes a little more sense in hindsight, but now nothing that double real girl said prior to that reveal. Yeah, the whole motivation and the things that she said before that, they completely fall flat because it's revealed, who the duplicate is and who the real one is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense. And not only that, but like, and I understand that the reason why they didn't do this is because, well, you don't want to give away your movies, your special movie plot device. She's not going to mention this crap at all through the whole thing. Here's
kind of thing of that one with the real one. Part of the reason she doesn't say anything was she's kind of broken now after living down there for 20 years.
Yeah, and let me say this. That is the least egregious thing here. That I can put under suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff in this movie, no, man, it doesn't.
And well, the other one doesn't want to give it up or say anything, because then she loses everything.
Well, yeah. No, I understand her not saying anything, but the other one, it's.
And and also from that perspective, here you are having a real conversation for the first time in 20-ish years with people who have your life, but don't know that the other one is the imposter. I mean, how would you would react to that if your family showed up at your door and they point to your mom and go, "Nope, she's a clone. Get her out here.
Yeah,
I'm taking her place."
Yeah, and like Holly says too, is like that all that once upon a time exposition at the beginning, that info dump that she does. None of that makes sense because it's coming from the fake one, coming from the real one. If it was coming from the fake one, it would make sense, but coming from the real one, no, it doesn't make sense.
I'd have to see that again.
But yeah, basically, it's an interesting. To sum it up for me, it was an interesting idea, really good cast.
Although
a whole lot of problems with the plot and the way things were going on.
Well, did you pick up on what happened at the ending?
The fact that her son realized what was going on?
Well, not just realize, he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows that is his mom.
but she's not the original.
But yeah, that woman is physically his mother, but she's not the woman that is supposed to be his mother.
Yeah. As far as the raspy voice thing, Holly, at the beginning you see she chokes her. I think what you're supposed to take from that is that she damages her throat or something. Like again, it's one of those things where it's like, I guess you're just supposed to take that as you know, as it is. But
And also with that, I mean, another plot hole. After she drug her down there, why didn't she just walk back up the steps and leave?
yeah, you know, or
yeah, there's a lot of plot holes in this.
There's a lot of things in this movie that don't make any sense, man. I think basically what it was is I think because of the success of Get Out, and there was a lot of clever stuff in Get Out. I mean, Get Out wasn't perfect, but it was still, as far as being his directorial debut as a horror film. Yeah, he did a really good job. And there was a lot of real, clever things in there. I think he tried to be clever with this, and he kind of fell apart.
Well, it seems like it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, I got this idea, and go.
Yeah, where it's like,
yeah, I thought went into this movie, but not a lot.
That's another thing too. Is the little,
it's a good idea, but not a lot of thought.
That's the other thing. That's another thing I was talking to someone else about. She was handcuffed to the bed at the end. Okay, right? The little girl, the real girl, she gets handcuffed to the bed. Eventually, she gets the handcuff off. Why doesn't she just leave?
Yeah,
because it's clear that the people down there aren't going to hurt her. Why doesn't she just leave?
And like you said, somehow she got out of those cuffs.
Yeah.
Either one of the other clones down there brought her the key or something. But
something happened and she got out of it. I don't know, but she got out of it. So yeah, it was one of those things where like, this doesn't make any sense. But what I think would have been,
although in a way it kind of.
Go ahead.
Well, when they're in the living room and she pulls out the shackles, the look on the mom's face, because she knows exactly what those are.
Yeah.
Because that's what she put on her to leave her down there. That's what she was kind of like, oh,
feeding the rabbits and cleaning up the bunny poop. Well, the bunny poop's what the underground city runs on. I don't know, man. I didn't write this thing.
Yeah, what do the rabbits eat? They eat the rabbit poop.
Each other.
There you go. Cannibal rabbits. It's Watership Down all over again.
I'm telling you, man. There's so many legit. Not only that, but I think someone said that there was supposed to be a scene where, because you notice that they all wore the leather glove on the right hand.
On the right hand, yeah.
It's the one that she got locked up with. And she's supposed to have scars on it from where she like pulled her hand out or something. Someone said that there was supposed to be a scene like that, but I haven't been able to confirm that. So
okay, well, at least there's some explanation because why are they all wearing right-handed golfer gloves?
Yeah, where did all the golfer gloves come from? Where did all this stuff?
She's been sneaking out over the past 10 years, stealing golfer gloves and scissors one at a time.
She gets away and then she goes back. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! It's stupid. But yeah, I give this movie a D. If I had to give it a star rating, I give it like a 3. It's like I said, interesting concept, great cast. Just story just completely falls apart.
Yeah, Swiss cheese has holes.
Well, that's all I got, man. What do you got? You got anything left, or?
I don't know. What time is it? It's
going for a while now.
Yeah, we're going for almost 2 hours. So,
oh, geez.
I say we pull a plug on it. I do have for next time though. I'll be saving this. Got a book here called Cretaceous by Ted Galusha.
We suck with names.
Hey, it's not my fault if these people would have like
Why you got
non-Welsh names?
Non-Welsh names. Cool, man. Okay, we'll save that for next week.
Yeah, I'm saving that for next week. So
thanks for being here, Holly. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, everybody or anybody that showed up, because I can't see who you are or where. Yeah, Jason, thanks for showing up.
Thanks, Jason. Anybody that watches later, thanks for showing up. If you like this content,
if you show up late, thanks too.
Hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment below if you have anything to say about what we had, if you agree with this or disagree with us, and hit the
buttons,
hit the bell for notifications, and we will see you guys next week. I'm Bob.
I'm Tom.
And thanks a lot.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.